I stared at the name tag my stepmom Sandra had handed me with her trademark vicious smile. Where everyone else's tags showed their names and relation, David, brother, Marie, cousin, mine simply read, the disappointment in her perfect calligraphy. Well, it's true, she laughed when she saw my expression, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. Everyone else here has accomplished something. What have you done except waste your father's money on that tech project of yours? I looked around my father's expansive living room, decorated lavishly for his 60th birthday. Relatives and business associates mingled, all wearing their achievements like armor: doctors, lawyers, executives. And then there was me, Jessica Parker, the daughter who dropped out of law school to pursue software development. At least put it on, Dad said tiredly, not even looking up from his conversation with my successful older brother David. Don't make a scene. Don't make a scene. His favorite phrase whenever Sandra's cruelty surfaced. Just like he'd said when she'd accidentally excluded me from the family Christmas card. Or when she told the country club I was taking time to find myself, instead of admitting I was working on a startup. I pinned the name tag to my simple black dress. Not designer like Sandra's but professional and clean. My hand brushed against the USB drive in my pocket, containing everything I'd come here to reveal. Oh look, Sandra's voice carried across the room. The disappointment actually wore something presentable for once. Though I suppose even failures can manage basic dress codes. A few guests tittered nervously. Others looked away, embarrassed by her obvious malice. Dad just sipped his scotch, pretending not to hear. I thought about the past 3 years, the long nights coding, the rejection letters from investors, the countless times Sandra had mocked my little computer hobby at family gatherings. None of them knew that my waste-of-time project had just been acquired by one of the largest tech companies in the world. The paperwork had been finalized yesterday. The press release was scheduled for tomorrow morning. But tonight at this party I was still just the disappointment. My phone buzzed, a text from my business partner Marcus. Everything set for tomorrow's announcement. You sure you want to do this your way? I looked at my father, still avoiding my eyes, at Sandra's smug smile, at my brother's dismissive glance. Yes, I typed back. They deserve to hear it from me first. Even if they don't deserve to hear it at all. I waited until Sandra called everyone to attention for toasts. Watched as various relatives stood to praise my father's business acumen, his guidance, his success. Listened as Sandra introduced David, proudly announcing his recent promotion to junior partner at his law firm. Finally, I stood up, clinking my glass. The room quieted, probably expecting some awkward, apologetic speech about trying to do better, about living up to the family name. I'd like to make a toast, I said clearly, my voice carrying through the sudden silence. To the last time you'll ever see me. Dad choked on his scotch. Sandra's perfect smile froze. David stopped mid-conversation. Jessica. Dad started, using his warning tone. No, please, I continued, reaching for the USB drive. Let me finish. I came here tonight to give you something. A final gift, you might say. I walked to the elaborate digital photo frame Sandra had set up, displaying a carefully curated slideshow of family photos. None featuring me, of course. The USB port was right there waiting. What are you doing? Sandra demanded, starting forward. Showing you exactly what a disappointment can accomplish. The room fell silent as I plugged in the USB drive. The photo slideshow flickered, then changed to a series of business headlines and documents. Tech giant Azure Systems acquires revolutionary AI security startup for $2.8 billion. Quantum Shield. The future of cybersecurity. Startup founder Jessica Parker revolutionizes AI protection. Sandra's champagne glass shattered on the marble floor. David stopped mid-stride, his mouth hanging open. Dad just stared, his face draining of color as the headlines continued to scroll. You see, I continued, my voice steady, while you were all laughing at my little computer hobby, I was building something. Something that just sold for more money than this house, your law firm, and Dad's entire business combined. This is some kind of joke, Sandra sputtered, her perfect makeup cracking along with her composure. No joke. I pulled out my phone, displaying the signed contracts. Azure Systems bought my company yesterday. The press release goes live tomorrow morning. I just thought my family deserved to hear it first, though I'm not sure why, given how you've treated me. But But you live in that tiny apartment, David protested. You drive a used car. Because I was investing everything in my company. Every penny, every minute, every ounce of energy that you all thought I was wasting. I turned to Dad. Remember when you told me dropping out of law school was the biggest mistake of my life? He couldn't meet my eyes. Turns out it was the best decision I ever made. My waste of time project just revolutionized artificial intelligence security. Major banks, government agencies, tech companies, they're all going to be using my software. Jesse, Dad finally spoke using my childhood nickname for the first time in years. I didn't know. Of course you didn't. You never asked. None of you did. Too busy writing me off as the disappointment, right, Sandra? She flinched at my direct address. I unclipped the name tag, letting it fall to the floor. You know what the real disappointment is? A family that measures worth by appearances instead of substance. A father who lets his wife bully his daughter. A brother who's so busy climbing the corporate ladder that he can't see true innovation right in front of him. The room was dead silent now, the party guests watching this family drama unfold with a mixture of horror and fascination. The acquisition comes with a position on Azure's board of directors, I continued. Youngest board member in their history. But don't worry, I won't embarrass you by claiming any connection to this family. Tao, wait just a minute, Dad started, finally finding his voice. No, I'm done waiting. Done trying to prove myself to people who decided I was a failure before I even began. I pulled out one final document. This is my official letter renouncing any claim to the family trust or inheritance. I think we both know I don't need it anymore. Sandra made a choking sound as she saw the amount I was walking away from, the trust fund she'd been so sure would never be mine anyway. You can't just leave, David protested. We're family. Family. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Family doesn't make their daughter use a name tag calling her a disappointment. Family doesn't spend years tearing someone down just because they chose a different path. I looked around the room at the shocked faces of relatives who'd dismissed me, at the business associates who'd never bothered to learn my name. So yes, I'm leaving. But don't worry, I'm leaving you with one final gift. Check your phones. As if on cue, phones around the room began buzzing. I watched as guests pulled them out, their eyes widening at the notifications. Breaking news. Azure Systems acquires Quantum Shield for $2.8 billion. Market shares soar. I'd arranged for the press release to go live a day early, right at this moment. The timing was perfect, watching realization dawn on every face in the room as they understood exactly what they'd been mocking all these years. That's not all, I said, my voice carrying in the stunned silence. Check your email inboxes. Every person in this room should have just received something interesting. Sandra frantically grabbed her phone, her fingers shaking as she opened her email. There it was, detailed documentation of every cruel comment, every manipulation, every attempt to turn my father against me. All meticulously recorded, dated, and archived. You recorded everything? She whispered. Of course I did. I'm a tech genius, remember? Those fancy smart home devices you insisted on installing? They don't just play music and control the lights. Dad stepped forward, his face ashen as he scrolled through years of evidence. Jessica, what is this? That, Dad, is your wife's true nature. Every time she undermined me when you weren't looking. Every whispered insult, every social manipulation. I especially enjoyed the recording of her bragging to her friends about how she'd make sure I never saw a penny of the family money. David, ever the lawyer, was reading through the documents with growing horror. This is years of systematic emotional abuse. Yes, it is. And now everyone knows. Your colleagues, your society friends, your legal partners, everyone who's ever attended one of these lovely family gatherings. Sandra's carefully maintained facade crumbled completely. You can't do this to me. I already have. Don't worry, I'm not pressing charges or seeking any kind of legal action. I don't need to. Success is the best revenge after all. I turned to my father, who looked suddenly older than his 60 years. You had a choice, Dad. Every time she belittled me, every time she tried to break me down, you chose to look away. Well, now you can't look away anymore. I never knew. He started. You knew. You just didn't want to see it. It was easier to label me the disappointment than to stand up to your wife. I picked up my purse, not designer but containing the signed contracts that made me one of the wealthiest people in the room. The press will be here soon, I announced. They're very interested in the young female tech founder who just made history. I suggest you all prepare your statements carefully. Especially you, Sandra. The society pages can be so cruel to fallen social queens. As if on cue, camera flashes started appearing outside the house's large windows. The tech world moved fast, and news of the acquisition had already drawn media attention. One last thing, I said, turning back. That name tag? Keep it. Frame it. Let it remind you of the day you labeled the wrong person a disappointment. I walked to the door, pausing one final time. Oh, and Sandra, Azure Systems just bought the country club you love so much. Board members get to review membership applications personally. Isn't karma interesting? The last thing I saw as I walked out was Sandra collapsing into a chair, her perfect world crumbling around her, while Dad stared at his phone, finally seeing the truth he'd ignored for so long. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's making sure everyone knows exactly why you succeeded despite them, not because of them. 6 months after my dramatic exit from Dad's birthday party, I sat in my office at Azure Systems headquarters, reviewing the latest implementation reports for Quantum Shield. The software had exceeded even our most optimistic projections, revolutionizing cybersecurity across multiple industries. Miss Parker, my assistant announced, your father's here. Again. This was his third attempt to see me. The first 2 times I'd had security escort him out. Today felt different. Send him in. He entered slowly, looking nothing like the confident businessman I remembered. The past 6 months had aged him visibly. Jesse, he said softly, using my childhood nickname again. You've done amazingly well. I gestured to a chair, noting how he took in my office, the view of the city, the awards lining the walls, the evidence of success he'd never believed possible. Sandra moved out last week, he continued when I didn't respond. The divorce will be final soon. I know. I had cameras everywhere after all. The country club membership committee was particularly interested in her application renewal. He winced. You really did buy the club. Azure Systems did. I just happened to chair the membership committee. I allowed myself a small smile. Funny how social status works when the power dynamics shift. And David? Ask his law firm. They're quite excited about their new contract with Azure Systems, though they had to make some personnel changes first. Apparently, having a junior partner who publicly dismissed AI technology wasn't good for their image. Dad slumped in his chair. You've thoroughly dismantled our whole world, haven't you? No, Dad. You did that yourselves. I just held up a mirror. I pulled out an old photo of me at my college graduation, before Sandra had convinced him that law school was the only acceptable path. We were both smiling then, before disappointment became my identity. The press loves your story, he said. Self-made female tech founder, revolutionary AI developer. They call you the future of technology. While Sandra called me a disappointment. I set the photo aside. Which label do you think matters more? He looked down at his hands. I failed you. As a father, as a protector. I failed completely. Yes, you did. I kept my voice neutral. The question is, what are you going to do about it now? I'd like to understand, he said quietly. Your work, your company, everything I should have tried to understand years ago. I considered this for a moment, then pressed my intercom. Clear my afternoon schedule. And bring in the Quantum Shield presentation materials. For the next 3 hours I explained my technology to my father. Really explained it, watching as genuine interest replaced years of dismissal. He asked questions, took notes, actually listened. This is incredible, he said finally. All those times you tried to tell me about your project. And you changed the subject to David's law career? Yes, I remember. He flinched but didn't deny it. I don't suppose we could start over. I looked at the name tag I'd had framed, the disappointment, hanging on my wall as a reminder of where I'd come from. Not over, I replied. But maybe forward. On my terms. Anything, he said quickly. First you get therapy. Real therapy to understand why you let your wife abuse your daughter for years. Second, you make amends to everyone you dismissed on Sandra's say-so. And third. I smiled slightly. You take our company's basic coding course. If you want to understand my world, start from the beginning. He agreed immediately with a humility I'd never seen before. As he left, he paused at the door. That final gift you left at the party, it wasn't just the evidence against Sandra, was it? No, I confirmed. It was the chance for everyone to see themselves clearly. Some like you are taking that chance. Others, like Sandra, are discovering that disappointment feels very different from the other side. After he left, I looked again at the framed name tag. Below it, I'd added my own caption: "The disappointment, founder, CEO, billionaire." Because sometimes the greatest revenge isn't in destroying those who hurt you, but in giving them the chance to understand exactly what they failed to see. Even if that understanding comes with a $2.8 billion price tag.